Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of 2 Minutes to Review. I'm Matt.
And I'm Zach.
Longest album review in under 2 minutes wins the little game here. We do new albums, classic albums. This time, it's from and I hate to say it this way, a classic punk rock band doing a brand new album. But I did.
I mean, I was actually going to even call them the elder statesmen of punk, but even I hate saying that. Ugh.
It is the Offspring's brand new album, Let the Bad Times Roll.
Woohoo! It just makes you want to say woohoo when you say that. Let the bad times roll. I don't know.
Is
it just me?
Times roll. No, I'm thinking of cars.
But it's true. I mean, for nearly 4 decades, the Offspring have been.
Hold on. You got me feeling bad for saying classic, and then you go and say 4 decades.
I'm stating facts. Nearly 4 decades.
That sounds dirty.
If you wanted me to really make you feel old, I'd say the exact same year. I'm sparing you. Nearly 4 decades. When you think of SoCal punk, you think The Offspring. And it's hard to believe that this is not only their 10th full-length album, it's also the first full-length in nearly 9 years. It's been that long.
Yeah, that's
And there's
crazy.
something about The Offspring that always makes me happy. You and me, Matt, we've seen them live together, and it's just such a fun show.
Yeah, it was a really good time with those guys.
They're just so much fun. And you also forget how many incredible songs and hits that they had, or have, I should say. Matt, you named Smash one of your favorite albums in 1994 in a past, if you have to pick 3 episode. I mean, and rightfully so. It's one of the most well-performing independent releases of all time. Still.
Yeah, 11-year-old me loved it.
I'm not going to tell you my age because I don't want to either make you feel old or feel young, but I still love it. I still love The Offspring. There's something about it that just sounds timeless. So here we are. Let the bad times roll. I was really excited to finally listen to it. I know you were, and I'm really excited to share our thoughts. But first, a really special shout out to Lucky 13 Beard Co. They produce made-to-order beard oils, balms right here in New Jersey, our home state. And Matt and I are really just honored to be sponsored by them.
Yeah, I mean, they smell really good no matter what scent you pick up from them. My personal favorite, the tobacco vanilla. They put out some variants on that one with like cherry tobacco vanilla. They just released one based upon Ed, the owner. His wedding anniversary just passed, so he put out a new special edition honeymoon beard balm, and it smells really tropical. So if you haven't tried these at all before in any capacity, you owe it to yourself to at least give them a shot because they're really quality products.
Dare I say, they're pretty fly.
You're such a white guy. EFP10 is our code when you go to etsy.com/shop/Lucky13 Beard Co. Put it in at checkout. Get 10% off your order. You're going to be glad that you did it. You're going to feel really good. And
you're not going to be able to keep them separated if you put on this beard oil.
Hey.
That's how good they smell. I'm actually really proud of myself. I know I shouldn't be, but I am proud of myself for those Offspring puns.
That's how I know you're a white guy.
Yeah. So, do you want to go first or shall I go first?
I'll go first on this one.
You'll go first? All right.
Yeah.
Uno, dos, tres.
So the name of the game on the new one, Let the Bad Times Roll, is production inconsistency. On the first 5 songs on this album, they are literally all over the board. The top 5 tracks on here, the first 5 tracks, I should say, This Is Not Utopia, Army of One, Let the Bad Times Roll. The first 4 songs on the album. They all sound like somebody took, like the band members or somebody took turns producing them because it's just all over the place. And it becomes almost, dare I say, unlistenable at times because you have to keep adjusting your volume or the way that you're listening to the song. It doesn't seem like this was something produced by Bob Rock. It really is kind of weird. Then you hit the next song, the 5th song on the album, 2015 single Coming For You finally finds a home on an album, and it sounds like the best song on the first half of the album. But when you turn it around on the second half of the album, it really comes into its own here. They seem to clean up the production going forward toward the end of the album, and I'm really glad that they put together a version of 1997's Gone Away that they do live and did it even better than when they do it live. because it gets that nasty taste of that Five Finger Death Punch cover out of our mouths, because this blows it out of the water. If you've seen them live, this is how they do it, and they do it better here. And this is really a more mature album from The Offspring, because they do a classical cover on here for the song called In the Hall of the Mountain King. When you hear it, you'll know it. It's a really fun cover. I really like that they put it on here. And to me, this is just, for the second half of the album onward, it's a really enjoyable Offspring album.
All right, time's locked in. Star ranking.
2 3/4 stars.
Ooh.
It's not a 2.5 star album. I can't give it a 3-star because I feel like they gave us maybe a half of an album, because it technically is 10 tracks, because Lullaby at the end is just kind of like an outro. So I want to give it 2 3/4 stars, but I can't believe that they let this go out the door sounding like this after so long. Why not just wait a little bit longer and get the production right? The songs are like Army of One. It's a really cool sounding song. It's got this surf-esque main guitar riff in it, but it sounds completely misproduced. And then I forget what the track was before it. It sounds like somebody turned the vocals down in the mix, but then on the first track, the vocals are sitting really, really loud on top of the rest of the mix. It's just odd that they let this go out like this. And you can clearly hear the difference in the production value when you listen to Coming For You, because that was released so long ago. That sounds incredible. And then the rest of it's like, well, wait a second, what happened here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I also want to address, I'll address this after you give your review, but you made a comment to me at one point.
No. I'm going to make that comment.
You make that comment again.
I will.
I can't wait.
I might not do it during my actual review, but I'm going to bring it up before we say goodbye. All right? I promise you that.
It's not all right. Yeah. Ready?
No, it's yeah. Count me down.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, I'm gonna be honest. I can't get my head around why I'm not totally in love with this album. And it's not because of the album's lackluster moments, because I'm gonna be frank, there's plenty of it. I mean, the song Coming For You, it's just meh. I actually wasn't a huge fan of In the Hall of the Mountain King. I didn't think it was necessary. But especially a song like We Never Have Sex Anymore. Truly a horrendous song. I'm not going to dwell too much into it, but literally it might be a complete new low for the band, both lyrically and performance-wise. But, forget all of that. There's songs like This Is Not Utopia, Behind Your Walls, Army of One, Breaking These Bones, The Opiate Diaries. They have, maybe they're a tad forgettable, but they have all the standard pop punk elements that you typically want from an Offspring album. Or at least what you'd expect from the Offspring. And I'll be honest, the title track might be one of the catchiest things that the band has done in years. So maybe it's because of Bob Rock's production, or maybe it's more polished sounding than most punk albums arguably should be. Or, and I really hate to say this, maybe it's simply that Dexter and Noodles' ages have caught up with them. Overall, the album lacks a certain sense of urgency or vigor that, to me, classic Offspring songs have. And given how the band talks at length about how this album was inspired by the apocalyptic-like chaotic times that we're currently in, it kind of befuddles me how simply uninspired this whole album sounds. Not that we really need the Offspring to deliver something new or exciting, but I definitely didn't finish listening to this album with the same level of excitement that I went into it.
Okay, we have a time. And star rating.
I'm going to give it 3 stars, but if you ask me tomorrow, it could end up being lower. It was lackluster. It really was a lackluster album. If I keep reminding myself of that terrible song, We Never Have Sex Anymore, I might bring it down to a 2.
Okay. Hang on. This is where I want to go with this.
Yes. Hold on. Well, may I tell you what I made you laugh at? When they first released the single, We Never Have Sex Anymore, immediately I thought it sounded like a mid-50s entitled white guy who doesn't know how to communicate to his wife, decided to half-ass record a 90s ska song about not having sex anymore in hopes that his wife might listen to it, even though he knows his wife will never actually listen to whatever he does. It just sounded so pathetic.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But this is coming from the guy who wanted Blink 182 to grow up on their last album. And this, to me, is the Offspring growing up. And this is like, hold on, because he's singing about things that are relevant to him in his life now, because this feels like a bookend on the song Self-Esteem. Because, you know, roll her off for the 10th time today. You know I shouldn't do this again, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again anyway. So they do it. And now he's in his mid-50s and they don't do it anymore. So to me, this is really the Offspring growing up. And I kind of applaud them for taking this type of, I want to say like fun-esque song, because this is kind of like, you know, the songs that the Offspring do, like The Worst Hangover Ever or Hit That or Why Don't You Get a Job? You know, it feels like one of those type of Offspring songs.
No, this feels like a half-ass attempt to try to do that. This feels like even Dexter's in the studio going, man, this is really stupid. And I would feel really embarrassed if my wife actually listened to my music. To me, it almost sounds like no one else from the Offspring even was in the studio recording this but Dexter, and even he kind of phoned it in. Which kind of leads me to the rest of the album in general, in that I don't want to say it was a phoned in record, but it definitely doesn't sound like an album that the band really felt invested in. Maybe it's because it's frankly only half of the original band. I mean, they've had plenty of drummers over the years. Not that Pete has not been in the band for a while, but I mean, this is their first album, I think, in a while. Don't quote me on this, but I know, you know, Greg's not there anymore, and I feel like his bass playing was a huge secret ingredient to the band. It just feels kind of half empty.
I wonder if that is the production value that's coming from this. It's all over the board, and yeah, there is an empty feeling in it. But I wonder if this is another, you know, and I'm going to compare it this way because it's the only way that I know how to, an And Justice for All type moment. You feel like there's something missing because there's a lack of bass, or that there's just something in the mix that you're not used to not hearing, and it's just because it's not there, it makes you feel weird about it, you know?
But I feel like at least Metallica wanted to be in the studio. I don't even hear the band wanting to be there. If you told me that Dexter was actually recording this from his home basement while Noodles was half across the other country, and they kind of just did it whenever they had time in the evening, and they kind of just like, I just need to get this done with so I can go to sleep, I wouldn't be surprised. At least Metallica was invested in A Justice for All.
Not going to lie, I can see that and I can hear it, but once they start, I feel, working the kinks out later on in the album, it gets better. But it doesn't excuse for the first half of the album being the way that it is, in my opinion.
Oh, and one last thing before we go to the timings. As much as I loved the rendition of Gone Away that they included in this album, like you mentioned, Matt, they performed it live now for many, many years. It really does sound beautiful. I also get angry listening to it, only because to me it's too little too late to have done it. Because, and we discussed this, I think, when the first time I saw them live performing it, I'm like, my goodness, if they had done this piano version of Gone Away in 1997 or 98, shortly after the song became a hit, we would be talking about Gone Away the same way we talk about Everlong, and how Everlong was followed by an acoustic version of it. When I heard it live, I'm like, man, this was a missed opportunity to record a version of this and release it years ago. Hearing it on the record just reminded me how, in some ways, it was kind of an afterthought. That, oh yeah, we should record this and put it on the album, and then, oh, boom, we'll have 12 songs instead of 10 in an outro. I love it, but I hate how it probably came about. And it just reminded me of how angry it makes me that they didn't do it sooner.
Pure speculation. That's all I'm going to say, because I really enjoy that they put this on here, and they do it better on here than they do it live.
Absolutely.
I understand what you're saying by it was a missed opportunity to do it earlier on in their career, but maybe they didn't need to do it earlier on in their career any other way than the way that they were doing it originally to the album. It could have felt forced if it didn't have, you know, some meaning behind it, or, you know, years later they came up with it being just a piano version. I don't know the whole story behind it, I'll be completely honest. but I'm glad that they do it this way, and it feels very heartfelt, and it feels very heartfelt on the album. So,
it kind of reminds me, and this is going to sound like a diss to Offspring. I promise I love the Offspring, but it kind of reminds me in the same way, like, oh man, it's a missed opportunity. They didn't do this years ago. What could have been if they had done this piano version years ago? In some ways, the Offspring is what I envision Green Day becoming if they didn't take a chance and did an album like American Idiot. If they kind of just went into the same pattern of like, whatever, we'll just do a punk pop album and just go on tour and play the hits. Granted, you can make the argument that that's what they do now, especially if you listen to Father of All. And it just kind of saddens me. I mean, granted, the Offspring are in some ways the AC/DC of pop punk in that you know what you're going to get with the Offspring to a certain degree. And you just are happy to hear it and you're happy to hear the hits live. But once in a while, I ask myself, man, what if the Offspring did this instead of that? Or what if they did the piano cover of Gone Away during this time instead of now? So that's just my perspective too. And maybe I'm overthinking things in life that don't really matter. But you know what actually matters, Matt? Whether I gave a longer review than you did in under 2 minutes. So
you are notoriously bad at this, and I'm gonna go on record as saying that. Well, I think you've given like 5 reviews in a row where you're over 2 minutes, and
they were all amazing reviews, dare I say.
But anyway, you lost, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, in your opinion. Anyway,
you say it yourself,
Matt.
Zach,
would you like to know your time?
Go ahead.
You came in at 1 minute and 54 seconds.
This might be the closest that we've ever come to being under. This was close. Yeah. No, this is close because your time, Zach, comes in at 1 minute. Be happy that you came in at under 1 minute. 1 minute and 58 seconds.
Cue in the balloons and the graffiti and the air horns. We can't afford the production like that for a podcast, but I won.
It only took you close to 2 months to win.
We are the champ. Oh, we can't afford the rights to that song.
Do you realize how much trouble we'll get in?
I'm sorry, Matt, but I'm excited. I won. Yes. And I almost go ahead.
This is your worst hangover ever.
That was a good one. Oh, that's exciting. I'm definitely going to act like this is a bigger deal than it is. And my wife's going to be not really care and just say, why don't you get a job? I have a job, by the way, but I wanted to make an Offspring pun. Anyway, did you agree with Matt and I's review? Did you disagree? Do you think we're way off, or do you agree with us on every single note we said? Do you also think that We Never Have Sex Anymore is the worst song in the world? I said it. Boom.
Oof.
Let us know on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Epic Footnote. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more videos and hear more podcasts just like this one. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much to our sponsor, Lucky 13 Beard Co.
Head on over to their shop right now, etsy.com/shop/Lucky13, the number Beard Co. And use code EFP10 when you check out. Get 10% off your order today on all small batch handmade beard balms and oils.
Yeah. Thanks so much. And we hope you listen again real soon.
See ya.